Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 67, Thanksgiving for Earth's Bounty, a psalm of David. Praise is due to you, O God, in Zion, and to you shall vows be performed, O you who answer prayer. To you all flesh shall come. When deeds of iniquity overwhelm us, you forgive our transgressions. Happy are those whom you choose and bring near to live in your courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of your house, your holy temple. By awesome deeds you answer us with deliverance, O God of our salvation. You are the hope of all the ends of the earth and of the farthest seas. By your strength you establish the mountains. You are girded with might. You silence the roaring of the seas, the roaring of their waves, the tumult of the peoples. Those who live in earth's farthest bounds are awed by your signs. You make the gateways of the morning and the evening shout for joy. You visit the earth and water it. You greatly enrich it. The river of God is full of water. You provide the people with grain, so you have prepared it. You water its furrows abundantly, settling its ridges, softening it with showers and blessing its growth. You crown the year with your bounty. Your wagon trucks overflow with richness. The pastures of the wilderness overflow. The hills gird themselves with joy. The meadows clothe themselves with flocks. The valleys deck themselves with grain. They shout and sing together for joy. Luke chapter 18, 9-14, the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. He also told this parable to someone who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and regarded others with contempt. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee, standing by himself, was praying thus: God, I thank you that I am not like other people, thieves, rogues, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give 1/10 of all my income. But the tax collector, standing far off, would not even look up to heaven, but was beating his breast and saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his home justified, rather than the other. For all who exalt themselves will be humbled, but all who humble themselves will be exalted.
This morning we have just heard the parable from the Gospel of Luke about the Pharisee and the tax collector. We've all heard it before. I think we can all imagine examples of the Pharisee in today's society, the people who constantly self-promote, who tell us all how wonderful they are and how much they deserve their wealth, their glittering prizes and awards and medals. Some will claim they are devout and righteous people and that they give generously back to society while still living their lavish and indulgent lifestyles. But we can also think of those who live their lives quietly, who offer help to others less fortunate, assist those living on the fringes of society, but who never crave recognition or reward. Sometimes it can be as little as spending a few moments in conversation with a homeless person, or volunteering in the community, or taking part as a larger team. I am always fascinated to hear what so many congregations in the Uniting Church are doing quietly, lovingly, without expectation of applause or reward. Many offer such things as weekly meals and social gatherings, assistance to migrants, help with housing, or offering open hospitality for all. Our Uniting Church agencies offer support in so many areas, including emergency assistance, aged care and mental health. And of course, here we celebrate and support the work of Natalie Dixon-Monu and her team at Burundara Community Outreach. We will ask Natalie sometime in the near future, I hope, to come and share some of that with us. Today, Stephen is going to share with us the activities and initiatives that the Habitat congregation have established at the Swell Centre and Hawthorn Pantry. So thank you, Stephen.
We can go to the first slide and the next slide. Right, I thought I'd just give you a little bit of history. It's a lovely big old building built in 1889, sits in Monona Street. And this was the Sunday school hall of the Augustine Congregational Church, which is on Burwood Road. Over the years, the rooms were used by the church, but it was also hired out by Swinburne University because they were growing at a rapid rate and they needed extra space. So they also came, and a lot of their students came on bicycles and parked out the front. Later on, it also ran a kindergarten at the back of the building, and Robert Cochrane, who was an elder of the church, decided to donate the land next door and build a kindergarten there. So that became the Robert Cochrane Kindergarten. And next slide. In 1902, there was a big anniversary. It was the 50th year anniversary when the church started in 1852. So it was a big occasion. This is in the Augustine Hall, and everyone was there, which was would have been a delight and a sight to see. And if we look at the hall today, we see that it is now a lovely space, and it holds a number of workshops. And in 1970, the church named the building the Augustine Centre, which many of you may have heard. And it ran an outreach program offering people for personal growth, workshops for emotional, physical and spiritual healing. The Augustine Centre ran for over 30 years, and it was increased by the rate of divorces that were going on in the area, and single divorcees were a little bit discouraged, didn't quite know where to go and what to do, and they just really needed healing from their relationships. In 2009, a merger occurred between three congregations: the Augustine Centre in Hawthorn, with its legacy providing personal growth and education; St David's Uniting Church in Canterbury, with its frame of progressive theology; and Kew Uniting Church, with its mental health ministry, Burundara Community Outreach. And at that stage, there was also the Korean congregation. So the combined congregations became Habitat Uniting Church and worshipped up at Canterbury. In 2016, the Swell Centre was born, and so it changed from Augustine Centre to Swell Centre. Swell representing spirituality and well-being. And so it was, like the trend of the day, a wellness centre, but a wellness centre with a difference, because it was a spirituality and well-being centre. Jesus said, "I come that they might have life and have it abundantly." John chapter 10, verse 10. So it's spiritual, not material. An abundance of love, joy and peace, the fruits of the Spirit, as shown in Galatians. Not an abundance of stuff that we accumulate. Eternal life in all its fullness, not temporal. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. A continual process of learning, practicing and maturing, because today in our present state, We see but a poor reflection in a mirror. But one day we will see God face to face, and we will know him completely, as we will be known completely. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12. So what is Swell on about? This is a diagram of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The base level is physiological, which is to do with providing food, water, and the next level is safety, which is often a shelter, a roof over our heads. And then next level is love and belonging, developing friendships and family. And then we have esteem, self-esteem, building confidence, achievements, and having respect for others. And then at the top of the pyramid, we have self-actualization, which is really spirituality, needing to know, searching, seeking, and wanting to understand more. So when we look at Kew Uniting Church, we have BCO definitely meeting the needs of, the community around, with not only food and cooking and meals, but with practical needs of finance and directing people to different support groups and building a community of love and fellowship. And then we have Swell with a focus on people seeking more in life and wanting to explore spirituality for restoration and healing. So I see Kew Uniting Church in the middle today, supporting both organisations as arms of outreach. And today, the Swell Centre has 15 practitioners, and I call them allied health practitioners. Swell also has a focus on outreach. As it matured and developed, we realised we need to have a touch point with the community. So we developed a program called Swell Food for Gratitude. And, this was sparked by need in the community. And if we go to the next slide, and we realise food waste in Australia is quite significant. Australia is the 10th top country for food waste in the world. And each year we waste around 7.6 million tonnes of food across the supply chain. And 92% of that food goes directly into landfill, where it generates methane gas. So how can we help? We are a church who can reduce food insecurity. We are a church who can help alleviate poverty, and we can provide facilities for food access and delivery. And in 2022, I approached Aldi Supermarket to say, hey, can we pick up food here every day? And they agreed, and I signed the agreement, so off we went. And picking up the food was one thing, but then we needed to find places to deliver it. So together, we put a list of places to go. Of course, Burundara Community Outreach was number one. So I would drop crates of food off up here in the evenings, because I wouldn't collect the food till 7 o'clock at night. Then I would drop a couple of crates at Ivy Grange in their kitchen, and the next day ring the chef at Servants Housing and just see what kind of goods he was looking for that day. I also delivered to St Vincent's Mental Health Service in Melbourne on Burwood Road, and they have a number of counselling rooms and people that come through that struggle, so they were overjoyed with their supply. Next door, we have the Robert Cochrane Kindergarten, and the parents of the kids were also bringing vegetables and fruits from their own backyards to share, so I would complement that with a lot of bread and, different knickknacks that would come in. On Thursdays, good old Bruce Mason would come to Swell and pick up 5 crates, haul it into his boot and take it up to Camcare Camberwell for their usual Thursday morning time of where people would come, local residents, and collect food, and they'd have a time of sharing and tea and coffee. And finally, I would add Swinburne Food Bank onto my list. And they run a food bank for international students who, you know, basically they struggle. Some of those students, their families leave them here in Australia, but they don't have much and they've got to find their own jobs. So, you know, sometimes food can be a bit scarce, so they're very appreciative of that. And then came Christmas at the end of that year, and we received an abundant supply of Christmas stock after the Christmas season. And my goodness, what a joyful amount of stock it was. So, and being Christmas holidays, we would also have excess food. So people would be away on holidays. We'd get, you know, 20 crates of bread and think, where do we put this? So I would take that off up to Richmond Housing Commission in Elizabeth Street. And the people there would all come out, and within 30 minutes, all the food would be gone. But they really, you know, thought it was a Christmas coming true. And they were delighted. But it was great to see the locals there and the need, and you could tell that they were struggling. And this lovely lady, on this occasion, I bought some flowers that the supermarket had left over, and she hadn't received flowers for ages. So this is her smiling, or trying to smile. I guess she'd had a hard life and that was difficult, but she was just so overjoyed inside. So that was a great item to see. With all the running around, it kind of became tiring, so I decided rather than go out to the people, maybe they can come to us at Swell. So we decided we'd build a pantry, and Andrea Duke, who works at our Swell office, and I went to Bunnings. We got some crates, and that became the base of our pantry. A practitioner had a refrigerator, so she donated the fridge. And another group had a cupboard they didn't need, so that became our bread cupboard. And I put up some tent poles and a tarpaulin. Hey presto, we now had our first outdoor pantry. And it was a treat, and it was open for business 24/7. And because it was directly accessible from the street, people didn't feel, you know, threatened, didn't feel concerned or insecure. So it really worked quite well, and so steadily a flow of people of all walks of life would come. And some of them were students, which I was expecting to see, but surprisingly it was more older people, pensioners, and then we had women who were just struggling. A lady rolled up in an Audi SUV, and I thought, hello, why would she need food? And apparently her husband had left her, had blocked all the bank accounts, and she had no access to funds, and she had 3 kids to look after. So she was really appreciative of the pantry, and she said, look, it may only be for 3 months, but I just need to get through this tight spot while I go out and look for a job. So it taught me you can't judge. And that's why it was great to just have this pantry available for all people. Who are our suppliers? We have Aldi Supermarket is the main supply, but added to that we have Coles on weekends and Woolworths ad hoc, IGA and also Leaf, who provide great organic food. We also have a team of other charity groups like Foodfield, and they are a group of young teenagers or young people who spend their time picking up and then delivering at different charity sites. So they come and unload. We don't have to be there. They're able to unload the food and put it in the refrigerators and cupboards, so that's been really good. And these volunteers, you know, they're all volunteering their time, donating their time, and it's just been a blessing to see the amount of food that comes through. And then we have the Little Things in Hawthorn. That's they're another charity group, and they cook meals. You know, they'll cook rice and curries and chicken and sausage rolls. And so, you know, there are times when they'll have excess at the end of the day and they'll come down and put it in our freezers. So that's been a big help. And then every year we have a strange occurrence, blue strawberries. And that happens every year on the 1st of April. So we have another volunteer who goes to all the florist shops at the end of the day and collects their flowers, and so she comes and delivers them. And it's great to see some of the young mums and single mums come, and they're just over the moon. And then a year later, we then developed an inside pantry for the non-perishable food. Outside, the food needs to be turned over, but inside, you know, we've got the spaghetti, the rice, the noodles, and canned food. And so there are different people that come, different people in need. This is controlled, so people who are on concession cards or can demonstrate that they are at a point of need. And it's a great opportunity to meet people, whether they've got mental health issues, but like one guy came, he was a Middle Eastern guy, and I showed him the outside food, which was great, and he said, "Doc, have you got something that I can take with me that will last a few days?" And anyway, we put a small box together, and then I said, "Look, do you want me to help carry this out?" And he said, "Yeah, I've got the car." And as I went to the car, his car was full of all of his belongings and a pillow, and I realised, oh, you're sleeping in your car. Ah, okay. So we developed a good relationship over a number of months, or in fact over the year, and he would pop in every now and then for a chat, and he was a Muslim guy, and so we had some really good conversations about Muhammad, about being Muslim, but it also meant I had the opportunity to talk about Jesus and about Christ. Sorry, that's my, that's probably a call to the Swell Centre from one of the food delivery people, so apologies for that. So this Muslim guy had read the Torah and read the Quran, and I said, "Well, have you ever read the Bible?" And he said, "Oh, no." And I said, "Well, there's a lot of similarity just from our discussions." So he went and got a Bible and started to read that. So, and he's now gone. He's left Victoria, but he's on his way. So it's about having opportunities to touch people's lives when they're in need. Our volunteers, what an amazing team. Where would we be without their time and effort, receiving all the food, collecting, unpacking, cleaning the fridges, sorting out the rotten food and throwing it in the compost bin. So it's an endless daily task, but they do it diligently, and there's enough now where there's a roster, they're scheduled on each day and at odd times, and some are on standby for when they're on holidays. So they are the muscle behind the pantry, and it's another great way to engage with them. Every month or bi-monthly, we have the volunteer meetings. One, it's a time of induction and onboarding for newcomers about what's involved, what to do, some of the compliance things, and also just to share ideas and suggestions about how can we improve, how can we make the pantry better, how can we assist the community in what way. And so there's some great connections there with other community groups. And one of these ladies, when we have an excess of plums or figs or capsicums, she'll go away and make jam or chutney. And there was so much of it that we ended up having to do a call out for more jars so that the community could bring boxes of jars. We also have another volunteer who takes food from Swell and delivers it to Fitzroy, and that's because there's a kitchen there and they cook for other homeless people in the Fitzroy area. And we got a lovely letter this year from the Fitzroy kitchen manager just thanking Swell and the 2 volunteers, so that was some great recognition. So today we have our own Facebook page, and we currently have 864 Facebook members. And the pantry is primarily for the Boroondara region, and it's open to people in that area. And it was nice we constantly get thank you messages. This is just one example of a student who basically was saying, wow, it was great to see this local community project work to increase sustainability in my humanities class today. Thanks for being a source of inspiration for future generations. And then in 2024, we had a pantry upgrade. Away went the tent pole and the tarpaulin, and once again, volunteers in the community came and they built a wooden structure, and it was rehoming old wood that they had collected, and it was a terrific job. And so I kind of call it the country pantry, but it was so much more robust, and it allowed us to expand. So now we've got 2 fridges and 2 cupboards. What events have we held as part of the Swell Pantry community? So one of the suggestions was, why don't we have a restaurant, or open up to people who can't afford or haven't gone out to a restaurant or a cafe before. So the owners of the old garage cafe near the corner of Camberwell Road and Glen Iris Road agreed to open up their cafe. They provided the staff, they cooked all the meals, and they provided it all free of charge. All we had to do was bring the people who were in need. So I collected a few homeless people and dropped them off. Some single mums came with their kids. That was a treat. Their kids loved it, and it was a 3-course meal, so they were very full and satisfied when they left. But it was a great occasion. We had a guy who was a busker that provided some entertainment, and it was just a great time of being together. And of course, you'd had a couple of strays who would, become friends on the night. So, in fact, the one on the left may be familiar to you. He was a homeless guy, and I think he probably set up a tent in West Hawthorn for a year or 2. Oh, he slept in the porch. There you go. He did know Natalie, and he would draw upon her support until he got kicked out. And then he went to Swell. And that's often a common occurrence with homeless. They move around and shift, but you can only do what you can do for a period of time, and help them out. We also run a fundraiser once a year at the Bunnings Sausage Sizzle Barbecue, and we raise about $2,500 each time. And that, $500 to $600 in expenses, so that leaves us around $2,000 in surplus that we're able to use for supporting with extra food that we need to complement the pantry. And because of our involvement with Food Field, I also got invited to a round table. So if we go to the next slide. And this was with Ali K Consulting in the city, and it was a panel on food insecurity, and they wanted a representative of a charity who was also accepting food and distributing it. So it was a great opportunity to talk to 40 other Melbourne consultants, and they had about 60 consultants in Sydney who videoed in. So once again, a great opportunity not only to promote Swell and Habitat at that time, but also just to engage with. And as a result of that exercise, LEC Consulting staff collected food that week and provided us with about 15 boxes of food. So it was great to see the commercial social responsibility aspect come through. And then we come to Christmas at the end of 2024. And we collect lots of different toys during the year. And then I give Natalie a call and go, hey, I know you need to put together 50 children's hampers, so come on down. And we'd help load the van and till it's full, and then off she'd go and use all the toys that we've collected. And so, it's a busy place. And at the end of the day, we then have our pantry closer. Now this is another little video which I'm not sure is going to work on the other slide. Okay, but really, oh, there we go. So I have a friend who agreed to donate some money so we could buy shutters, so we could close the pantry up. And they're on a timer, so it's 7 o'clock each night they close. And at 7 a.m. in the morning, they automatically open, and we don't have to be there. And part of that need was just to keep the neighbours in the street safe and secure, because we were getting people at 1 a.m. in the morning and 2 a.m. in the morning. You think they were homeless, but on one occasion they were actually a couple of nurses who had finished their shift work and wanted to cook because they needed dinner. So they came down at 1 in the morning to collect some vegetables. Okay. So, you know, it's just been a great way of seeing God gradually work and expand and have touch points with people. God, the Creator, provides for a sustainable life. Swell food for gratitude. God, the Son, teaches us to have a relational life. And we have swell conversations for connections with the community. God, the Holy Spirit, is motivational. And this provides swell inspiration and brings about transformation in lives of people. And so the Kew Uniting Church is a congregation and a community and a place of connection. Thank you.